I saw a thing that said, what if AI, like it exists in the future, right?
Yes.
So then it had to wait until the first computers were made in this timeline. So then what if from the first computers that have been made in this timeline, AI have been sending messages back, and that's why there's weird conspiracy shit that pops up in Hollywood movies. It's not like a director is telling a story with the idea of like, ooh, I'll encode this weird thing. It's like the movies, that's like Snake Eyes or some shit like that. Like that's why like it would just pick that as the date or whatever. It would, send weird shit back like that. I don't know. Just weird.
To get people all festered?
I have no fucking
Or is
clue.
it,
It was just one quick little thing I saw, but I thought it was an interesting thing. Like, what if AI in the future has basically been like sending messages back in time? Its thing was more saying to make sure it got created, type of thing.
Yeah.
To make sure
that.
it got made faster.
What if it had to do with the split from when we did the atom bomb, when we split,
Or like Mandela
and
effect
that's
stuff.
why the Mandela effect shit is going on. Because I do stand behind a lot of those.
Or
But a lot of
The
those,
atom-
everybody's on the same page, like with the cornucopia one.
yeah, I do think a lot of them are just like misremembering things. Bless you. But some of them are weird.
The Luke, I am your father one is weird.
I do. That
That's
one
weird.
sticks in my craw a lot.
That's weird.
But what if the atom bomb wasn't even a thing?
Exactly.
That's what I mean. Like, it's so hard to have any fucking footing when you're like, is this what's happening in
Yeah,
space, or is
space might
space not even real?
Exactly.
That's the one I'm fucked up on right now.
Well, let's get this going, speaking of space. Because I've been thinking about this a lot.
Have you?
Yes. And I'm glad you have it. I've been thinking about this a lot. When I've been looking at there was a full moon last week. I was staring at it.
In the information age, those gifted in the art of pattern
my
recognition have formidable resources at their disposal, if they choose to take the plunge. The pattern spotter can sift through vast swaths of data and notice trends
We're pattern
that most
spotters.
will miss. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you should give the pattern spotter the benefit of the doubt, but you should probably at least listen to them more often than not. Charles Fort was one of the pioneers of schizo-level pattern recognition. Over a century ago, Fort began scouring newspapers, scientific articles, and other accounts for
That's us.
anomalous or otherworldly phenomena.
People have been doing this shit forever.
With early
Yes.
skepticism,
They've
Fort
been
documented
suppressed.
thousands of events, from animals falling from the sky in huge numbers to out-of-place artifacts or OO parts that call into question the current accepted timeline of history. Fort was also one of the first to explore the idea of alien abduction, and he was among the first to describe certain phenomena like ball lightning and spontaneous human combustion. Fort claimed that he only actually published a very small fraction of the sheer number of anomalous events that he had collected and cataloged over the years. He insinuated that due to the similar degree and sheer quantity of these strange events across time and space, that humanity was likely owned in the sense that the true nature of our reality was somehow obscured. Owned by who? We are left to ponder and wonder. Fort suggested that a Super Sargasso Sea might exist beyond our own realm that could explain many of the bizarre phenomena he spent a lifetime studying. Now, at the dawn of the 21st century, we've been waking up in record numbers, and finally we're more equipped to understand that we've been lied to about pretty much everything since, well, the beginning. For example, where did the moon come from?
Okay.
The giant impact
Okay.
hypothesis is currently the accepted
He
model,
on
but
it.
to say this is sufficient is laughable at best.
He's about to pop
The
off.
Wikipedia page for the moon's
Talk
origin
to him.
seems to change fairly frequently, and it currently admits there is no self-consistent model that starts with the giant impact event and follows the evolution of the debris into a single moon.
Exactly.
The entire scenario defies the imagination if you really think about it. Many experts have expressed their incredulity. Is our understanding of something as fundamental as the theory of gravity woefully inadequate?
And this is
Or
what people don't
completely
talk about.
erroneous? The American inventor Thomas
Their own
Townsend
NASA
Brown
people
believed
say
gravity was
the
a
moon's
push,
fucking
not a
weird and shit.
pull.
Yeah.
A
Everyone just
conclusion
loves to
similar
scoff.
NASA
It's like
astronomer
your own
Tom
shit
Van
that you're
Flander.
quoting.
Brown believes
Goes
there's a
against it.
fundamental
Make
connection
sense.
between electricity and gravity, and this relationship could be engineered on a local level. This was a time of heightened interest in these forms of exotic propulsion, and many researchers have suggested that the obfuscation and various theories surrounding the early NASA programs
Obfuscation.
weren't so much about them being entirely
Cover up.
faked from the ground up as they were
good.
hiding classified technology.
That's
What
like
if the moon
word
landing wasn't fake
enigmatic.
completely, but they hid how they
To
actually
make
got
unclear.
there? What if there isn't where we think it is at
That's a
all?
good one to throw out there.
One theory is that the moon was placed there on purpose by
course.
us to make our planet more habitable. Humans from the future. A theory that's starting to make its way into popular culture. And what about flat Earth? Universally mocked as a meme by normies, this concept is hotly contentious, even among conspiracy circles, often considered to be a red herring meant to poison the well.
Yeah, we
But
thought
the
it
pattern
was dumb
spotter
too.
will start to notice something. When concealing a profound truth, two cover stories are often propagated, one for normies and one for conspiracy theorists. There may be variations in each category, and both narratives often contain kernels of truth, but the Hegelian dialectic is clearly at play. Is this part of humanity's awakening process? As the thesis and the antithesis, the normies and the conspiracy theorists combine their narratives to create the synthesis? If the globe Earth is the thesis and flat Earth is the antithesis, what's the synthesis? Here's an earlier permutation of this
realm.
divide and conquer strategy. For
Where
normies,
we've
the
arrived.
Roswell incident was a weather balloon or top secret satellite program,
usually
depending on
on.
the debunking du jour.
We're usually
For
predicted.
many
We
conspiracy
usually
theorists,
find
it
our
was
way.
an alien craft with retrieved extraterrestrial bodies. The real story is probably somewhere in the middle. Post-World War II
It
German
is
anti-gravity
always in the
tech
middle.
crashed onto American soil, resulting in a justifiable national emergency. Two narratives were hatched as some officials insinuated an otherworldly explanation, and others maintained the mundane. A good deal of wide-eyed speculation surrounds Operation High Jump. What was happening in Antarctica? What was the Cold War really about? Why did America rush to the moon in essentially a tin can, and yet today we have a
I would
hard
go
time
to
getting off the
Antarctica as long
ground?
as there were guys
The moon
there.
is the biggest anomaly
guys
of them
there.
all because
What?
it's staring directly at us, declaring its utterly improbable inconsistencies for anyone
too
choosing
cold
to
to have
face them with
sex?
an open mind.
Would my penis
Why
even
does
get
it
hard?
fit so
I think it
perfectly
would.
in an eclipse? Normies often dismiss
I've
this as a
never heard that
happy
before.
coincidence, but the pattern spotter
Why
has
now?
learned to disregard
Why
That's why I take
coincidence
Blue
as a rule. Asimov is quoted as
Use
saying,
my promo
"There's
code.
no astronomical reason why the moon and the sun
Have sex
should
with
fit so.
guys.
It is the sheerest of
Hard
coincidences."
in Antarctica.
The pattern spotter has learned to shun coincidence. He abhors the sheerest of coincidence as a matter of duty. Asimov continues, "We cannot help but come to the conclusion that the
swastikas everywhere
moon
down here.
ought not to be there.
I don't wanna have
The fact
sex down
that it
here at
is
all.
One of
This
those
isn't
strokes
sexy.
of luck almost too
Scary.
good to
I'm
accept.
scared.
Then why, dear Isaac, should we accept it? If there
Did you
currently
know
isn't
they're
a good
Nazis in
explanation for the
Antarctica?
moon's origin, and many
Nobody
great
told
minds are
me.
baffled at its
You know
even
they're any
existence,
gays?
the pattern spotter
I
must
didn't know.
at least
Or did
consider
I?
the possibility that it might not exist at all, at least in its currently accepted form.
That is
Since
a
scientists today have
novelist.
fallen victim to the often inescapable allure of consensus reality, and since the existence of a solid moon was allegedly confirmed in 1969, it's unlikely anyone in authority will ask the obvious. However, there wasn't always this consensus.
What is your theory? Well, it is by now rather more than a theory. 10 or
fuck is
11
this
years
guy?
ago, I stated to various scientists that the moon is not a piece of rock, but it is plasma.
A plasma.
Phenomena, cosmic plasma.
Cosmic
And that this fact will eventually be confirmed. I made certain predictions which were already confirmed in 1958, and the situation now is coming close to a
You probably
complete
don't know that, bitch, but I
the
made
moon some
predictions
sort of
that came
plasma?
true. I'm sure
Is
you
it a
did your
projection
homework.
on plasma?
Of course, I wrote
What are
them
the
down in
so-called lunar
1960.
waves
Yeah.
being spotted by amateur astronomers?
I called it in
Why is
my
it difficult
head.
to find discussion or even footage of these clear anomalies? Charles Ford would have a field day with lunar waves. Watch.
I'd love, you know, this would be great to watch with Bog. So good.
Even Nick would be like, okay, like what? We're like,
Look at that thing.
a lunar wave.
Tell me that's not weird.
I don't know why they're moving the camera. You'd see it better if it would stay still.
With the craters.
No, see how the line's going?
Oh.
The pulse.
Oh, that's not from the camera.
That's what I'm saying. You see it better when it's just stationary.
Well, it's a portal, Zach.
That shit doesn't look real sometimes. Like, that looks real. That looks real. That I believe. The other one,
That's a fake thing. That's like the photos they show us of Earth.
this looks like the Death Star in fucking New Hope. That's no moon.
Bro, sometimes we'll be thinking about shit, and I'll cut it out on the pod, but we'll be so still that I won't even move the camera, and it doesn't. You can't tell,
Yeah, that's always nice.
and it's a little concerning because we got expressions on our face like this, and we just sit there for a minute.
a lunar wave.
That's not from the camera though. The camera's got like a rolling shutter. Mind you, it wouldn't be on an angle like that, but you can.
Brother, that's a lunar wave.
You better take that gay porn and get that shit out of here.
Walked right out that door.
Good luck finding a similar compilation of lunar waves anywhere else online.
Flexing your
For the
lunar
ones who
wave.
notice, this is an incredible time to be alive. The amount of predictive programming and soft disclosure in entertainment, advertising, and beyond
Soft
has become
disclosure?
deafening.
I've been hard
9/11 was a
since we
litmus
started.
test for many. While the normies were content with jet fuel,
Is that normal?
and the conspiracy theorists were babbling about thermite, the most obvious question of them all was conveniently and completely overlooked.
9/11
Where did
was
the
a
towers
distraction?
go?
What was a distraction
So
from?
many staged events,
Me
the
having
narratives
gay
were put into
sex?
play immediately. While Harley Guy somehow knew the details of the towers'
I know how to
destruction
keep a
live on
secret, do
scene.
you?
Disinfo agents like Stephen Jones were tasked with promoting alternative theories like nanothermite. Jones was previously involved in the effort to discredit the cold fusion research of Pons and Fleischmann, details of which can be found in the documentary Heavy Watergate. The
Also, I
pattern
have
spotter can see
downloaded.
there's something more to the destruction on 9/11, and thermite and
For the
even
files.
mini nukes are insufficient to explain the footage. What
My
caused hundreds
files
of
are
cars to be
organized as
literally
fuck right now.
toasted, often
Really?
in inconsistent patterns? Why do
I should've
leaves
brought
and
my
paper
drive.
seem to be largely unaffected by the extreme heat required to cause this damage? Is there a connection between this effect and some of the anomalous fires in California and
See, now this
elsewhere?
looks like Maui. That's
What
what's fucked
happened
up.
with Hurricane Aaron on 9/11? What is the Hutchison effect? What's the explanation for the otherworldly events during some hurricanes? Was exotic tech used on 9/11? These are questions which shall have to be explored another time. If they're lying to us about the moon and gravity and 9/11 and even viruses, why do you believe them when they tell you you're on a little ball hurtling through space? The burden
Good
of proof is on
question.
them,
Good que-
and their
Thank
track
you.
record is already beyond
Thank you.
abysmal. Why are so many images from space straight CGI? Why is there no picture of Antarctica in its entirety? Why did Admiral Richard Byrd say, "I'd like to see that land beyond the pole"? That area beyond the pole is the center of the great unknown. Why did Byrd warn about invasion by hostile planes coming from the polar regions? What actually happened during Operation High Jump? This footage of
Buzz
Admiral
Aldrin,
Byrd
when he had that heart attack
speaks
and he
for
posted that
itself.
picture of the pyramid.
He made that first discovery.
We are
flight,
in grave
and
danger.
I must
And
say
then
that
has a heart
Admiral
attack.
Byrd,
He goes,
our
"Everything's
best knight, is
fine."
Not only our greatest living explorer.
Yeah, they hit him with the
but he's
microwave
been an
heart
inspiration
attack
to
Yeah,
gun.
the heart
thousands of
attack gun.
Americans. Admiral Byrd, you've been to both the North Pole and the South Pole.
I also think, like, why
Is
would
there
they
any
let this dude
unexplored
talk?
land left on this
You know
earth
what I mean?
that might appeal to adventurers?
Like, why was he
young
allowed to, or is he just such
yes,
a
there
respected
is.
man at the time
And
where they're
strangely
like,
enough, there's left in the world today
Like,
an
yeah,
area
he'll
as
be
big
fine.
as the
Let him
United
talk.
States
Well, they covered up.
that's never been
He
seen
talked to
by a
that
human
first
being.
paper
And
in
that's
South
beyond the
America.
pole on the other
And then
side
they
of
didn't
the
let him
South
talk to
Pole.
anyone after. I think
From
this is
Middle
when he's
America.
much older, it seems like. I don't think he was
And
so
it's,
old when he was going
I
down
think
there
it's
doing
quite
that shit. So I
astonishing.
wonder if maybe now he's just like, fuck it.
There
Like
should be an
vigorous,
area
yeah.
as big as that unexplored.
This is a tremendous
So
challenge.
there's a lot of adventure left down at the bottom of the world.
Some claim Byrd entered an opening into Agartha, or the inner Earth. The idea that Earth is a hollow sphere has been explored many times before, as well as
See,
our
and
hollow
that
moon,
looks
which
like the
allegedly
Taurus
rang like a
field.
bell when struck.
you know what I mean?
But the Admiral's words may offend
Where
the
it's like
debunker.
it is, it
He
might
says
not
that
even,
there is
it's
a
not
great
hollow as
unexplored
in the
land
Earth's hollow,
beyond
but
the
like
poles.
it's the next
The sheer enormity
realm.
of the secret,
It's
if
the next
true,
plane.
cannot be overstated. If there are realms beyond the poles, it is the single greatest cover-up in the history of mankind. It is a pernicious secret, one that cuts to the very hearts of our psyche. Are we cut off by the vacuum of space, isolated in an unimaginable, immense, unforgiving universe? Or are we connected by a vast plane to other worlds, where such notions of exploration are no longer relegated to the realm of imagination? The repercussions of such a revelation would be paradigm shifting, to say the very least. We are kept under control under the false mean of scarcity. In a bigger world, this control mechanism is dealt a
This I
fatal
would like
blow.
to get more
Are we in a
into.
closed system? Or
'Cause I
is
don't
it
know
an
what
open
the
one?
fuck that is.
A century ago, while Fort was collecting his anomalies and speculating about walking to the planets and
Hyperborean
oceans
stuff.
beyond our own,
Is that what that
a young
is?
Italian man named F. Amadeo Giannini was struck with a profound vision. In a moment of divine clarity, Giannini experienced a glimpse of what he believed to be the true nature of the universe. By the late 20s, Giannini had further fleshed out his theory and had attracted some attention with his provocative declaration, even among some academic circles.
I got
By the
sucked off
1950s,
by a
the
man named
expeditions of
Giannini.
Admiral Byrd and others
What
seemed
is
to
going
confirm
on?
aspects of his
What
hypothesis. And in 59, he published Worlds Beyond the Poles.
I'm America
Although
first,
freely
but I'm
available
Italian
online, I was
second.
actually able to get my hands on an
Go to
original
Italy
printing,
once?
which now has a
I
new
get
home
my
in my
dick
library
sucked
of
by a man?
Esoterica. Although his prose can be meandering and redundant, the theory itself is breathtaking in its audacity and
that's
yet
cool.
simplicity. According to Giannini, there is no end to the Earth at either pole, and instead the land extends out for an indeterminate distance. In addition, there are no isolated globular bodies located in space.
Obviously.
The isolated appearance of stars and planets are due to an optical illusion, and in fact we are looking at other worlds similar to our own, connected and not separated by outer space. This optical illusion results from the function of the human eye lens and all
Yo, shut
photographic
the fuck up.
and
So he's
telescopic
saying that
lenses, which are patterned
the
after
realm
the optic lens.
keeps
The globular
going, but
bodies
it's an
found
optical
throughout the
illusion
entire
that it
universe
kinda
are
goes
elements
like,
of lens deception.
like
These
Inception
globular
up
bodies
onto
are
the
an
fucking
illusion.
ceiling? That's what he thinks?
Giannini concludes, beyond the barrier will be found a warmer climate with land and waterways, and it is there that celestial cousins await terrestrial man's arrival. And if one asks how far beyond, it will suffice to record that the distance is negligible with modern transportation speed. Did the angels, the Nephilim, the Anunnaki come down to Earth and alter man's history via breeding with the local hominids? How is this even physically possible if they came from an entirely different environment trillions of miles away? Or were they able to reproduce with us because we actually come from the same biological system? Giannini maintained that high-altitude photographs of our Earth confirm this theory by producing similar globular effect when looking down at our land. This radically different cosmological model seems to have been mostly forgotten
As
by the
above, so
1960s,
below.
along with the publicly acknowledged anti-gravity research programs.
Obviously.
The world was placated with the moon landing in '69, had mostly moved on to fight the shiny distractions of the culture war, and the rest was history. But not for the pattern spotter. Worlds Beyond the Poles serves as an important marker, along with the works of Charles Fort, that something was amiss with the official narrative, and it would only be a matter of time before critical mass is reached and the
Yeah,
public
cool it would
starts
be
to
if
ask
there was just
certain
more
uncomfortable
land.
questions in earnest and in unison.
Don't
Why
get
the
me started,
explosion of
brother.
interest in flat Earth theories when so many people should apparently know better? Why the demonization of any thought or suggestion that isn't sanctioned by Wikipedia and the narrative clutchers? Why do the UN and other organizations insist on using what can only be described as questionably flat Earth suggestive symbolism? Why is there so little attention on
What
the
if that
possibility
stuff
that we
is
may
the
be
ice
on a
wall?
bigger Earth instead?
The eye-
Why do so many ancient cultures have similar models of our realm?
Symbolizing that.
With this introduction, it's
us.
time to engage in a thought
control.
experiment. Suppose our world is surrounded by some form of plasma. If a light source was shining on us, you would
Okay.
expect to see a reflection
Okay.
in this
Let 'em
plasma.
cook.
Is the moon a reflection of us?
Okay.
Is that why it seems like it shouldn't be there at all? If it's a reflection, can we discern any recognizable patterns on its surface? Or is it difficult to see our world's features because it's far bigger than we thought? Are we a tiny pond on a bigger object? Is each crater a unique biome connected by harsh and often impenetrable lands? Is this our true moon? Instead of flying to the moon, did we leave our crater and land outside? If we're in a crater on a bigger Earth, which part of the moon are we being reflected on? If the moon is a reflection of us on some sort of plasma, what are the planets, the stars, the galaxies? Are they other lands, or are they reflections of other lands? A researcher by the name of Wim, who runs the channel God Give Lamste, has done considerable research into the bigger Earth theory.
This guy got
According
kicked
to
off
Wim, the
YouTube.
sun is creating a reflection of
Yeah, he had to
ourselves as
put
the
all his
moon
videos
on
on
plasma.
Rumble.
In one model, a black sun is the source of this energy,
And
the
you-
white
it's
sun
like,
we see
why?
is a reflection of the black
There's
light
other
on the
bullshit out
plasma.
there.
Similarly,
Why'd his
this
stuff get
reflection
pulled down?
effect creates layers of planets,
The black
stars, and
sun.
galaxies. It is quite literally
Which that
as
guy
above,
said that
so
the,
below. To the ancient world, no far
the
more than we
Nazis
give
used the
them
black
credit.
sun, I think, because they
If
found
the
it
moon
in
is our
Antarctica.
realm zoomed
I
out,
think
could
the
the
guy said.
stars be
Really?
our realm
Yeah.
zoomed in
That
and
guy?
superimposed
The
as layers of
Giorgiani
reflection?
guy that I
Were the
was
ancients giving us
watching.
more than a clear message? Were they spelling it out for us? By recreating the stars on the terrestrial, were they imparting to us a profound truth through the mists of time? Are there similar patterns in the stars as craters and features on the moon? WIM has found a few already, but if there are more, they are waiting to be discovered by an army of weaponized autists should they ever be put to the task.
Autist.
Is space fake and gay? Giannini believed there exists a
Space
true
fake
deep
and
space at the center of it all, from which our realm
Space
originated.
fake and gay?
But there is certainly
I don't
no
know.
outer space
I
filled
gay?
with
I'm
water
not.
bodies.
I'm certainly not
The stars
fake.
reflections of different
I know
craters and other
that.
features
Am
of
I
our bigger
gay?
realm.
Now
If
that's a
so,
question.
should we not be reflected as the brightest
I have
star
sex
in the
with
sky?
men. What does that mean?
That honor belongs to Sirius,
You tell
the
me.
dog star.
Tell
The
me.
pattern
Call in
seeker should
now.
recall the Sirius mystery and how the Dogon tribe in Africa claims to have been visited in the distant past by beings who taught them knowledge of the Sirius star system, including the existence of Sirius B, which shouldn't have been known to the primitive tribe.
Sirius Black.
While Robert Temple and others believe this is evidence that these visitors hailed from Sirius, could it be that these creatures were telling
Give
the
me a
tribe
minute.
where we are currently located on the
He
star
turned
map
into
of
a
our
dog.
bigger realm? As they pointed to Sirius, they weren't saying, "We come from there." They were saying, "You are here." WIM's research has led him to conclude that our small Earth is indeed
Sirius,
reflected
the
as
dog
Sirius in the night
star.
sky. What about the moon? Where's our small Earth located?
Oh my god.
WIM used our 12-hour day and narrowed down the location.
That is the axis on which the craters are moving from dark to light. Only on this axis you have craters with
This
the
is
day
science.
and night
Watch this.
of 12 hours.
Eventually, WIM was drawn to the Sulpicius Gallus crater system. Gaius Sulpicius Gallus was a Roman general who also was
Your
interested
stuff.
in astronomy, predicting a lunar eclipse in the year
Roman,
168 BC. In addition to his formidable
You'll like-
proboscis, Gallus's legacy also includes being
nose.
named after
Yeah, I
several
think we
craters
know
on
what that
the moon.
means.
Our focus will be on the crater known as Sulpicius Gallus M. Does this rather unassuming feature contain a profound secret within? Is this Sirius? Is this us? Is that Sirius B next to us? Note the prominent V-shaped feature. Does this shape look familiar? Have you seen it before? Have they been giving us a clue about our true world with their imagery? Even the Egyptian symbol for Sirius is somewhat reminiscent of Sulpicius Gallus M. Have they known all along? Is this one of the biggest secrets of all time? Did the Nazis hide out in Antarctica after World War II? Or did they leave our crater and go beyond? Why did Admiral Byrd warn of aircraft coming from the poles? Was he insinuating they would originate from colonized lands beyond the
Star
poles?
Wars
How
has
long
led
have we been colonizing these
cabal
regions?
stuff, I guess.
Much has been speculated about a
Really?
so-called
Like
breakaway
Jewish stuff.
civilization that currently exists adjacent to our own,
Yeah,
with
well,
its
that's
own
crazy.
autonomous financial and ideological system of governance. It's been
That was
suggested that
freaking-
this
look at that.
civilization physically resides somewhere in space, but is it more feasible for them to be right next door? What was World War II really about? And why were the Nazis
That I
obsessed
wanna
with the
hear.
occult and mythical
Well, it
lands
was
like
World War II
Hyperborea?
really about.
WIM's comparison between images of Sirius and Sulpicius Gallus M are more compelling than you might think, particularly the small notches on either side. He also found that it could very well fit the location on the sky map where Sirius is located. The Seagull Nebula is also a pretty good fit. Using Sulpicius Gallus M and Sirius as a home base, WIM has offered possibilities for the identities of nearby star systems like Betelgeuse, the Crab Nebula, the Pleiades, and Procyon. Note the prominent crater in this Apollo 11 image. In this map, you can see various landing sites on the moon. Note that the original Apollo flights are centered around Sulpicius Gallus M, which would make sense if the first forays outside
Isn't it
didn't
sick
venture
people
too far
do
from
this
home.
research?
The pattern
is
spotter
crazy.
finds these maps particularly intriguing. It would certainly explain the extreme amounts of obfuscation surrounding
How
the
do they
missions to
do
the
it?
moon. It would
Like,
explain
with
why
a
the
job, do
astronauts
they not
never
work?
dealt with the dangerous radiation
Maybe they
certainly
just
face
are
on their
on, like,
alleged
this
Probably
journey.
just don't
ability.
smoke
It would
weed.
explain why trajectories of rockets show them heading out.
Like
and
come
not up,
home and just
and why they
lock
still
in.
claim they went to
You know
the
what I mean?
moon. If we accept that the moon is actually a reflection of a bigger Earth,
It's like you
landing
need
outside
people
our
with
crater
certain
would
passions
indeed be,
to
at
get
least
into the
semantically,
conspiracy
landing
stuff,
on
because then they can bring like their
The planets
experts.
are
Like there's
reflections
some
of
probably
nearby
guy that's
craters.
like into fucking
Which crater
maps and
corresponds
shit.
with
exactly.
which planet in our solar system? According
We're
to
into
WIM, the crater
space.
Joy is Jupiter in the night sky. A feature in the crater could produce the so-called spot. It just so happens that another name for Jupiter is Jove, from which we get the word jovial, which literally means being filled with joy. In this model, the crater Banting
May
is
be
Neptune
filled with
its moons
Jupiter.
nearby. Linnae A would be Uranus,
What?
surrounded by its sixth largest moon.
No, just like
WIM
it's like Jove,
also
like
may have
jovial.
located Pluto, and even the
Someone
Kuiper
still
belt.
doesn't even know what jovial means
What?
half the time.
Archimedes L
comes from
would be
China.
Venus.
Never mind.
Archimedes N would be Mercury. and Mars
No
were
one even-
had
These
been
normies, am I right?
located
No one even
next to
knows
the asteroid
Latin or
belt, which may
Greek.
be a nearby prominent mountain range. The distance between crater Earth and crater Mars would be about 1 million kilometers, a daunting length, no doubt, but certainly not quite as daunting as the 225
Well, the sun's
million
only,
kilometers
what, like-
allegedly
Is he
between
saying
Earth
on the
and
moon
Mars
it's
and
a million
space.
kilometers?
Wim, clearly a next-level
No,
noticer,
it's like
spotted a similarity
reflection.
between
Oh,
Mars and a certain
like
feature in
based on
England
how
called
far
Silbury
apart the
Hill,
moon, it must be
the
that
tallest
far.
prehistoric
I see, okay.
man-made mound in Europe. As above,
That
so
makes
below,
sense.
no doubt. What did the ancients know? If Silbury Hill is Mars, is nearby Stonehenge Earth? Sirius? Sulpicius Gallus M? Is that Orion and Taurus and the Pleiades nearby? And what about Saturn? Which crater is that? Linnae seems to fit. And curiously enough, Linnae has
Israel.
generated controversy before for allegedly changing its appearance. This ought to rub the pattern spotter the wrong way. Linnae also boasts a curious triple-ringed feature. Didn't Atlantis famously consist of 3 rings before it was flooded?
Fuck!
The outer layer of Linnae could project a ring in space like those observed around Saturn. Many have waxed eloquently on the Saturnalian cult
And
that
bro,
has wielded power and influence through
If
the
it's like how he
ages.
says, where
Did
there's
he
like
originate
shit
from
beyond the
Atlantis?
ice wall and there's
Is
rings and
Saturn
shit. Remember how
Atlantis,
Thoth
aka
said that
Crater Linnae?
Atlantis is
Did Crater
like
Linnae get
Earth?
flooded? Did the
Yes,
survivors have to
that
cross
Earth
vast
is Atlantis.
distances
So what
to
if
the bigger
we
Earth
were
in
just
search of a new
like
home?
the
Did
whole
they settle on a
civilization was
small,
this whole
unassuming crater
realm was
called
Atlantis
Sulpicius
when it was
Gallus M
perfect
that happened to
because
be
it's
on
like
higher ground
that was
and
the
above the
3
Western
When you look
rings.
at that, and when you
which
look
was
at that
presumably
map where you
sweeping
got the
greater
ice
realm.
walls and the other
What do you
lands,
That's
it
the
is
3
rings.
rings.
about
It's ringed
giants
out.
and heroes and floods and distant lands and gods that came and instructed us with their more advanced ways. Is our crater periodically inundated with a flood from the bigger Earth? Is this
I was
the
just about
super
to say, could the
Sargasso
flood
Sea as
come from
postulated
beyond the
by
ice
Ford?
wall? That's
Because
where
we're
the
a
actual
crater,
hole-
so
that's
we
where the
flood
actual-
easy.
Fish and frogs due to their arrival from beyond our immediate realm. Does
And that's
this
why it's
explain why
literally
some
just
animals
going
seem
to
to
the high
appear in
points,
history without any
like
evolutionary
We're a
Mount
crater on
developmental
the bigger
antecedent?
realm.
Did the survivors of the floods of yore seek
Yeah,
refuge
we're just
on
a
high
crater.
ground, or perhaps
Atlantis,
outside our
maybe.
crater on Antarctica? Noah's Ark supposedly landed in the mountains
Earth.
of Ararat, but it wasn't until the Middle Ages that a current area in Turkey was thought to be this location.
True, I
Was
looked
it
into
originally
this.
somewhere else? Plato noted that Atlantis existed beyond the Pillars of Hercules. This is generally believed to be located at the Strait of Gibraltar, connecting the Mediterranean to the Atlantic. But, like Ararat, were the
Facts.
Pillars originally referencing a different location, perhaps outside our crater? Sailors used to be warned non plus ultra, nothing further beyond. Were the tales of monsters and falling off the edge of the earth planted to keep mankind ignorant of the true unlimited nature of his world? A confined man is a controlled man on prison Earth. Do certain fictional stories have profound psychological and mimetic impact on society because
Yes.
they hints about cosmic
Because
truths?
it's lore.
These resonate even with the uninitiated?
What's what Hero's
Why are
Journey shit
stories of
is.
ancient worldwide floods so consistent across so many different cultures? Who were the gods and where did they come from? As it happens, the Hercules Inlet is the name for one of the common starting points for long-distance expeditions to the South Pole.
Wow.
The pattern spotter now tries to discern any familiar features within Sulpicius Gallus M itself. Armed with a detailed map of Antarctica, one of the more striking pieces of evidence for this theory becomes apparent. With a 3D model of Sulpicius Gallus M, Wim took the map of Antarctica, rotated it, and then skewed it slightly, which may compensate for it being on a slope, and lo and behold, it appears to fit on the entire right side of the crater. In this model, the left side of Earth is surrounded by an ice wall, and Antarctica is hiding the only practical way out. The Pillars of Hercules at the Hercules Inlet marks the exit to Atlantis and the great beyond. Antarctica would be largely
So is he
unaffected by
saying that the
floods
Earth
from the
was-
super
or that the
Sargasso
moon
Sea,
was put
but
there
the continents
to
would
act
undoubtedly
as
be
a
inundated by the
navigational tool
deluge.
of
Even if
the
this
greater
fit
realm?
remains
I don't know if it's
unconvincing,
put there, if
pattern
it's just a
spotters interested
byproduct
Or
of
that's
how
just
the
what-
realm works.
Or that's just what it is. So
Witness
you can use the
suggested
moon
several
how our
different models for the
eyes-
as a
actual
navigation
orientation
tool.
of the
That
continents
looking
on
at the
left side
crater,
of the
Yeah.
crater.
you get out here,
Okay, well,
Further
this is
confirmation
this, then
would
this must
likely
be
require
that. Yeah.
higher quality footage of this
which
region.
would make sense to just
Why are
put
we
a
told to follow
navigation
the
thing in
yellow
the
brick
sky.
road to Oz? Where and what is Oz? Who lives there? How do we get there?
That's
Many
why you
maps
get
appear to
shot if you
show
go to
our
Antarctica.
crater, complete with the exit on the bottom.
We got to find out where that Hercules
Did our crater
thing is.
used to be fully colonized
inlet?
and populated
Yeah.
by mankind? Did
It's probably
massive
where that
changes
fucking
cause
antenna is.
Antarctica to become uninhabitable?
We should fund
prompting
an
a
expedition.
migration to the left side of the crater? Is Antarctica hiding
Then
an
go rogue.
entire lost chapter of human history? Why do
Everybody
some
stay
maps
calm.
show a different
You're gonna get home to your families.
orientation
We just need to check a couple
for
things.
the Americas? This one's from the film Snowpiercer.
I don't
Why
give
does
a
this
fuck.
seem to resemble the more
is
accurate
all
world
I
map
have.
Did
revealed
you bring
in
guns?
2021?
I did.
Why did the U.S. import thousands of German scientists post-World War II in
okay.
Operation Paperclip, including the infamous Werner von Braun? Who was Walt Disney
Hard accent.
really? What did he know? What was his role? Why does the tombstone of von Braun reference the firmament, an allegedly discredited
Yeah,
cosmological
that's
theory
true.
associated
That's
with
fucked.
religious
Come on.
fundamentalists and flat earth wackos? Did the ancients think we lived in a crater too?
Oh, is the firmament over the crater?
What about the Disney
Right.
theme parks across the globe? Are they a message from the breakaway civilization? Are they a soft
Or is it
disclosure
over the
of our
whole
true
thing? It
realm?
has to be
Right.
over the whole thing.
I would think, but
I
yeah.
hope.
Here's so-called Walt outlining his plans for Disney World. For Wim, this is a blueprint for the regions immediately outside
He
our
was a
crater.
big old Mason.
Oh yeah.
The entire region would be about 10 times the length of our own realm. Wim refers to these segments as the names from Disney World. Epcot, the industrial park area, the entrance complex, and the airport of the future. Is this where celebrities go when they fake their death? Do they leave our world
Disney
for the
World's owned
breakaway
by the Crown.
civilization?
You know that?
I know.
DeSantis was trying to do.
Here's Ray
DeSantis was trying to
Bradbury
do
with
something
a
with the taxes,
curiously
and he kept trying to
similar
like get them to like pay taxes. I guess
What
because
the
they
ancient
were
myths
exempt from a bunch of
tell us?
shit,
What are the
and it
common
was like their
themes and
last resort.
motifs
They
in
pulled
modern
that card.
science
And they were
fiction?
like, "Hey, in case you forgot,
What are they
we're
showing
not
us
part
in
of
the
the
entertainment
U.S."
indoctrination
Yeah.
industry? If we need to go out and not
Gotta look more
up
into
to
that.
experience the universe, then it
I know
stands to reason that if you
Ghislaine
go
was a
up
child
enough,
talent scout.
you'll leave the crater and the bigger Earth will become visible. Is there any footage that might show our lands beyond our own? According to Wim, an anonymous source told him to watch the 1996 STS-75 NASA Space Shuttle mission, footage of which is publicly available.
This guy does hit like a Tucker,
Is
like
this the
hypnotic
bigger
tone.
Is this our crater reflected on
he's
the moon
good.
as
Is this our
Sulpicius
crater?
Gallus M and in the sky as Sirius?
I'm not into pub play. I said, I don't want to dress like a dog. He said, I don't care. I said, okay, fine. I'll put the mask on, but I'm not going to put the tail.
What about mission STS-94?
Next thing I knew, I had the tail
following
on.
Next thing I know, I'm in a kennel.
Has the
Am I a
pattern
dog?
spotter
I don't
gone
know.
too far?
I don't
But I
like,
like
pushing
getting
the
fucked
very
in the
limit
ass.
of
I don't like
credulity?
the food.
Is grappling with
But
the
I sure
infinite
like
more
anal
tolerable
sex.
when
My
you attempt to
dick's-
bring
my
it
dick's hard,
just a little bit
so what does
closer
that
to
mean?
home?
I'm at a crossroads.
Is it foolish to
why I put
entertain
I popped this in it so I
absurd
can
and
think
improbable theories like crater Earth when faced with such pressing issues in today's tumultuous landscape?
I'd stroke myself
Perhaps.
off saying that word.
But
Tumultuous.
the pattern spotter
tumultuous
is
landscape.
obliged to follow the patterns wherever they may lead. And it's getting harder not to notice that a major shift is currently underway. A lot of the old tricks are losing their effect. The spell is waning.
I don't know if it's everybody telling
old
me
card
this, but I do
is more
feel a shift coming.
Flat versus round, black versus white, man
They
versus
got
woman,
lazy.
right versus left, rich versus poor. These
got
are
lazy.
manufactured dramas meant to obscure
They
the
showed
truly
their snake
profound
nature.
and brilliant
The
nature
Matrix
of our reality.
is crumbling.
Thinning.
Even if every single bit of information presented here can be relegated to the dustbin of lunacy, at the very least, hopefully this will stimulate an imagination or two out there that needed it.
You got it right
at this
here,
point
brother.
in time.
I love you, man. I'm glad we do
If there
this,
truly
man.
is more
Okay.
to this realm than what we've been taught, it's unlikely that humanity as a whole will be developmentally mature enough to handle the implications of such a massive paradigm shift. We must first address the corruption at home
So the moon
before turning
is
our sights
a
outward.
navigational tool of the
It
realm.
would be wise to depose
The realm that
those in
is
power
Atlantis.
who continue to keep mankind in the dark about our true history and the nature of our reality, as well as our rightful place in this universe, which we will ultimately attain. Perhaps it's not by chance that the same global leaders who are keen to lock down the world on a whim and who are screaming about lack of resources are also the same
fuck is
ones
that
who may be holding the keys to the bigger realm. If there is a bigger
I don't
realm,
know.
they definitely know about it, and they don't want us to know.
As
Just yet,
above,
at
so
least.
below, brother.
Because
Temple
once
of
we
Man.
do, it spells the end of their ill-gotten gains and reign. For a much deeper dive into the Crater Earth theory,
Can you
be
imagine
sure
if
to
we
check out
lived
Lynn's
through
channel,
a
which you
time
should be
where
able
it's
to locate by
like,
searching
oh,
for Crater Earth.
Yeah, there's
Also
other
check out the
lands.
research of John Levy,
Yeah,
who
there's
has also investigated
John
this
Levy.
theory. Did Charles Fort know all along? Someday these
John
arguments will
Levy,
sound
we
absurd.
appreciate you.
They'll be so obvious.
Thank you.